I'm ready to watch one of my favorite documentaries. I love it because the person that to record this, I think she had to wait like so many years to get permission because you can't see how she has the habit on. That's the uniform that nuns wear. She is going to be a cloistered nun. Good night, Miff. Aww. Oh, he went to bed. Anyway, a cloistered nun means that she's going to seclude herself from the world. She's giving up her life in the sense that we have it to go and just basically be the bride of Christ so that she can sacrifice to be totally with him and no one else except for the other sisters that are there. But I never understood that growing up. I never understood that but now I do. When I was outside the church, yes, I left the church for 10 years, and I don't recommend that, please. I used to get mad at that. I'd say, well, why would she do that? She needs to go evangelize outside in the world. That's not being helpful. And it is so helpful because you know how I always ask you for prayers or, we're always praying for each other. That's what she's doing. She's giving up her life. She's giving up looking at the ocean. She's giving up listening to symphony music. She's giving up men. She's giving up even her family. Okay. They can go and see her, but she stays put. It's such a sacrifice. And that there shows God that, first of all, she herself can become more holy, one with God, and in a magnificent way. And not everyone is called to do this either. And then, let me have my coffee. Let me show you my cup. There's my baby when she was little. That's Rachel. And there's me. I was in my 30s. What it is to be young. But I don't mind. Because you know what? At least I'm alive. That's what I say. I used to get upset. Like, oh, I'm this age or that age. And now I'm like, yay. I made it. I am 47. I have lived for 47 years on this earth. And I've been pretty healthy. And a lot of tragical things did happen. But I'm here. All right, so a lot of heartache, but I'm here. So she is giving up her life for the sake of you and me. How exciting! So I pray for her. I'd love to meet her. She's in Sweden, but I love knowing that she's there. Like, I mean, so many times these people, they pray for us. And you may not have anybody else that's praying for you. Obviously, heaven is praying for us. But here on the earth, like to make such a sacrifice, I really admire that, So I love this. I highly... You have to read the subtitles throughout the whole thing because they're speaking in Sweden. Oh no, they're speaking in Swedish. There we go. So... it's just so fun. Please go buy it. It is so great. And then there's another one. It's called Integrate Silence, I believe this is the title. Wow. It is so long. And it's about monks, Catholic monks living, I want to say the Alps. I haven't seen it in a long time, but they're in these amazing mountains, okay? And... oh, I almost look like that ghost. So they're in the mountains. I sound so stuffed up, and I don't even have a cold. I'm telling you, something's going on in here. All right, so they're in the mountains, and they vow to not talk except for 1 hour a day. And it's funny because when they get together and talk, they talk about God, and they just do in the whole documentary. And they had to get special permission to do this because, they don't normally want to have outsiders like that in. They have to stay focused. But they did allow it, but the cameraman, had to wait like 16 years or something crazy. Hold on a second. It's Mr. Fry. Hello? What's up? What's up? At 1:45, I have an appointment. Why? Why? What's wrong with my car? You mean, well, let me know if it was icy or not. I know, but I put onion all over it. We're going to see about that. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So, what is it called? Integrate silence. It's so wonderful because the whole time you're watching this, they are not talking. So you really appreciate, so they all go to the hairdresser, right, the barbershop, and they're not talking. The one of them sits down, and all you hear is the buzzers. Bzzz. You hear the sweeping up of the hair. You hear the walking across the floor. You really appreciate sound, and you say, wow, there is so much sound. Like right now, besides my voice, I can hear the clock ticking. You know? So you really just appreciate noise. And the other thing is that it just reminds us to not bombard our lives with stuff and noise. To just remind us that maybe instead of turning on the radio or putting on the television or checking your computer, to think about being still before God, right? So, and that's what they do all day, right? It's amazing. It's so beautiful. And one might say, but why would I want to live like that? It is so hard to be quiet. One time, a couple years ago, I went on a women's retreat. That's where you go and whatever. So like for me, I would go to my Catholic church. And I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to spend the afternoon. I didn't look at the details, I guess, because I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to go spend time with my Catholic sisters, and I'm so excited. We're going to spend the day together and learn about God. Well, when I get there, I start to talk, and everybody's like this. Shh. I'm like, what? I was so mad. Can I tell you right now? I was so mad that I was going to spend the day not talking with my friends. I was so mad. I really was. Here I am. I'm in church, and I was angry. So I had to get around that somehow. Scusi. So I have all of my things that I wrote. What I decided to do, because I just felt like I had to like get it out, what I was feeling and thinking. So I wrote it down. I was writing and writing and writing and writing. And I so badly wanted to talk. I kept like, wanting to say something as though my words, my feelings were important. And I had to just keep on being quiet. It was so hard. Because I just had something, like the priest would be teaching us something, and I desperately wanted to comment on it, like to my friend next to me, oh yeah, and this and that, and oh yeah, hoo hoo hoo, and I couldn't. I just had to be quiet, so I write it down. So the thing that I noticed while I was writing, I even wrote people messages, like welcoming people. I don't know if I should be doing that. I don't know. But it was so beautiful because I would be sitting down and we're having lunch, and I'd look over at other women, and they were loving one another, but they weren't talking. In their gestures, they were loving one another. It was so great. I learned so much that our words are not necessary all the time, that your action, right? Action speaks louder than words. This was it. It was awesome. So I'm going to watch this because it really gets me in the holy mood to, they have a little chapel on their property. It's like, are you kidding? If I can have a little chapel on my property and ring that bell, in the morning, and whether people are waking up or not, and just ring it. I could do that. I could. I have a bell. Let me ring it. I can. I used to do that when, for homeschooling, I have little bells everywhere. You know, there was a food bell, there was a wake-up bell, just a gentle one. You know what? I'm not even going to do that one. I know where there's a bell. I know where there's a gentle bell. And this will be kind of like, hold on, let me go under here and look for it. Okay, are you ready? So different bells have different sounds. Ew, this was underneath. You ready? Here's the bell. All right, here we go. I'm going to ring it up the stairs. It's a soft, gentle bell. Nothing loud. And maybe the kids heard it, maybe they didn't. But to me, it's to signify, okay, you know, we stay up very late. So I don't mind if they sleep, of course. I just examine the day and I say, have you functioned in it, you know? It's nice, too, to have this quiet time. This is great. It's great. Anyway, so yeah, they have their own little chapel. It's so wonderful. So wonderful. Wonderful. So the father is a deacon. Therefore, he has the power to get Jesus in the body, blood, soul, and divinity in Holy Communion and bring it to his chapel on his property. Are you kidding me? Like, oh my gosh. And his family can go there and they can pray together. It's unbelievable. Yeah. They're not having a mass, right? So a mass is when the priest, which is the only person in the whole wide world, not even the president of the United States can do this, you know, holds up the bread, then later holds up the wine, and these, through the power of God, through only the hands of the priest that are consecrated in this way, can change the bread into the body, blood, soul, and divinity of our Lord Jesus Christ, and then the wine into his blood. Okay, so he can't do that, but he can already take it from the church, right? So I could become what's called a Eucharistic minister, and I could bring it to, say, a nursing home, right? Or maybe maybe one of my family members is sick, can't get over there. The priests, there's so few compared to a long time ago that I could go and get it for him. You have to take classes and whatnot. So I could bring communion in this way to a family member or a neighbor that really would like that. So he can do that. The father, who is the head of the home. Yes. Oop, the feminists don't like that, do they? Too bad. Sorry. Not sorry. So Demi Lovato was good for something there in singing that song. All right. So, all right. Let me go watch this and I'll show you my experiences while this is going on. I love it. Oh my gosh, watch this. Listen to them singing. So there she is. She's so young. Don't mind the glare on the TV from the window. So here she is. She gave up her whole family to be a cloistered nun. I'm not even sure if that singing is actually going on right there and then. The highest price I've had to pay is in the spiritual aspect of chastity. So staying pure. My being a solitary heart. I don't quite know how to explain it. We were created for somebody else. We are half persons in a sense. Entering a convent, you abstain from I abstain from giving love to and accepting love from a man. We leave that space for God to fill. There's the bell. You need to get this. I don't know, it's just amazing. It's so simple. Simple, simple, simple. You know, it's never too late. Say this sounds interesting to you, right? Let me pause this for a moment. It's so good. Oh my gosh. Okay, so obviously I had a calling for marriage. I saw Steve. I fell in love with him. I desired to have a family with him. Say he goes before me. I hate to say that, but it's true, right? So say he dies before me. And say my children, you know, they all grow up, and say I want to enter into the religious life. I could totally do that. As long as you're not too old, right? If you're too old, then they may not be able to help you and take care of you like that. So I know a brother, all right, there was a man and a wife. They had a family. All the kids grew up. The mother and the father agreed with each other, right? Because you have to have an agreement. You can't say to your husband, hey, or you can't say to your wife, hey, I'm going to go and I'm going to go be a brother. I'm going to go be a sister. These are brothers and nuns, okay? They're not the priest, okay? But it's another step. It's a step lower than that. So, so what they did was, in agreement, they joined the religious order, okay? They lived at the same place, but separate from each other, right? They lived at the same order, the holy order. And yes, and so they fulfilled those. Can you imagine? Like, they already had a family and everything. And in agreement, they took these vows. And she became a nun. And he became a brother, Brother Francis. So please pray for them, because one of his fears was that he was going to be forgotten and that people wouldn't pray for him. So I could do that, you know? It all depends on what was happening with my children. So say all my children moved away, and say Steve died, God forbid. I could do that. And you know what? I think I would. I really do. Because I just love it. But I do have to compare and say, you know, a lot of Catholic women might say, oh, I missed my calling, and oh, I desired that so much. And they kind of almost think that that's where they should be. And I realize that, yeah, it's true that I totally would love that. However, I really love having children, and I really love Steve. So that comes first. And then, like I said, hey, God's will be done, right? So let's go watch this movie or documentary. Oh, when Mr. Fry was talking to me on the phone, he says, oh, I got to scrape your car off. And I'm saying, why? Because I rubbed onion all over the windows. Because I heard a few years ago that if you do that, the windows won't freeze. So let's see if it really worked. Now, yesterday when I went out there, I just ran my finger down because I saw the windshield. And I thought, oh, this is snow and I bet you it's hard, right? And I said, it probably didn't work. I went like this. And it was just a little difficult to get off. Like, I mean, when I say little, it was like, okay, not bad. Compared to like everybody else in my family, they can't get the ice off their windows. They're chiseling it away. Everything's frozen. And I don't think I have that problem. So we're going to see. We're going to see. All right, let's go. Ooh. She wanted to enter the strictest order, to live in silence, cut off from the outside world, never to leave the convent.
Jag är inte själv religiös, men Martas val fascinerade mig. Jag kunde inte sluta.
So that's where she lives. She has been in the convent for 6 years, and she is allowed. See how she has to live behind that, what looks like a gate. She goes, I would like to be everywhere and help everyone. She says she gets frustrated seeing all the need in the world, all those who suffer, the poor, wars, etc. I wish I could cope with all that. Chop myself up into a billion pieces and be everywhere. But it's not possible. In human terms, it's not. It is, however, our belief that by my retreating, so what she's doing, living a life in pure belief, we do not see the results of our prayer. Imagine that. God is then able to act as he wishes, and that yearning comes to fruition. To be everywhere, in a sense, it is limitless. Now that's faith. See what she said? So for her and others like her, she knows she doesn't see the fruit of her prayer. Here she is. She's praying all the time for the world, and yet she doesn't even see the results. But she knows that she can be everywhere. I don't know about you, but let me know if you ever thought this way. So there were times when I was starting in my life to get into prayer. So in the beginning, I think my prayers are this big, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to pray for this person, you know? And then I was like, it took so many years to figure out that I could pray for the whole entire world. I don't need to pray just this big. You know, I could pray, and this even happened to me recently. I'm like, I could pray for my family. Okay, you pray for all those people you know personally. But then I was like, you know what? I could just add the whole world. So I would say my St. Michael prayer. That's St. Michael the Archangel. I put a statue of him up here that I received from as a gift. There he is. I love that. Isn't that pretty? So I would pray to him for protection in our lives, but I also thought, why can't I ask him to pray for the whole world? So it becomes grander, you know? I'll show you my little, these are my wine glasses from our wedding. They used to have these really cute jewels hanging from them, or sequency type things. And this here, this doesn't really go here. I just put it there as a reminder that as a baby, he gave up his life to do that. But this here, you're supposed to, so the priest, in reality, he would have a bigger one. It's called a monstrance. And he would open up the door and put the body of Christ in there. So this was a gift to us, and I like to have it as this being our altar. And I put a little cross in there. This belongs to our nativity set, but I just love this angel here. And another wine glass. And then what I thought I would do, so here's Steve and I, right? We always have to have protection for our marriage by St. Michael. Here we are as little statue people. And I put this crucifix here. So it's supposed to represent us always keeping our eyes on God. Okay? And always saying, Jesus, I trust in you. So that's our little corner. And it's nice for a reminder for us and for our children to see. And there's our picture. So just like she was saying that our prayers, she never sees the results. You don't even have to. You do your job in praying. And she can be a billion places all at one time by just praying. See? So she wants to. She desires. See? And then there are those that there's different holy orders, and she wanted to join the strictest one. Okay? Because to her, that was giving herself completely. So it's so exciting. Now here they are. Here they are, the family, on their property. And they're getting up early. See, watch. Okay, so they're coming out of the house. It's dark out still. The sun's on its way up. Now watch where they're going. I want to do this. Marta grew up in southwest Sweden in a deeply religious Catholic family. On the farm, they had their own chapel, and there it is. Watch. Isn't that nice? Each morning at 6, her parents go to the chapel for prayer. Isn't that nice? Talk about strengthening the family, huh? Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Oh my Almighty and merciful God, give us the spirit of prayer and penance, and a burning love for Thee and our dearest ones. Teach us through Thy heavenly word. Isn't that beautiful? Open our eyes to the value and beauty of the creation, and let us be united in that, in praise to Thee. Teach us through Thy heavenly word. So now they're working. See the sun coming up. It is in this age that we are unable to understand sacrifice properly. Religion cannot be understood without sacrifice. It would merely be a way of feeling well. And in fact, no one is entirely satisfied with that. When it comes down to it, it's a matter of sacrificing yourself for, living for someone else, or for something else. That is Marta's, that's the daughter. I can't really say project, as that's not it. God is sufficient. There's their family life. She thought of becoming a nun when she was young. I remember saying to God, you know how weak I am. I am unable to live alone. So please fix me up with someone whom I can be happy with. That's when I met Samuel. I saw him and said, I'm marrying that man. My friend Monica exclaimed, him? He's neither good looking nor anything else. I've heard that all before, I know, he says. He's engaged, she said. Can't be helped, I said. I am going to marry him. This is how God has followed us throughout our lives. Isn't that nice? All right, so let me go enjoy this. And they have like so many kids. It's wonderful, wonderful. It is my dream family. Oh my gosh. Even more than the Waltons. Can you imagine? You know, it's not even easy. In this world, it is not easy. And I can see why they kind of like removed themselves, even as a family, to go live on a farm, isolated away from most things. And because you have to. I mean, you don't have to, but if you want the ideal. So it's like being a nun or a brother, but in your family, see? But you're not. You're a mother and a father. So to really achieve... Now, I don't live like that. I'm very close. I have a lot of houses. I'm looking at them right now around me. But the thing is that it's not really admired to care about living that way. But see, you have to be so confident with God, see, that you're going to live a holy life, okay? So you don't have to swear. You don't have to subject your children to swearing. You don't. You don't. And when you do, you're offending God. Yes, God hears it, he sees it, okay, but he doesn't like it, okay? That's like pooping in front of somebody. It's true, it happens, but, and it's not even really comparing it to that because you have to do that. You don't have to swear, for instance, okay? You don't have to be around filth. You don't have to be around filthy talk. You don't have to be around perverted things. So if you are at, if you're watching a movie, oh, there I am. There's that ghostly woman. Do you remember? If you catch yourself swearing, think about it and say, oh, there I am. Oh, I like that ghostly woman. Oh, she wants to come out. So you don't have to do that. All right? Catch yourself and stop that and do it right again. I used to always take the Lord's name in vain. Okay? And after I returned home to the church, I remember, going to confession and saying to the priest, I'm sorry, forgive me, Father, if I have sinned. I took the name of the Lord's name. I took the name of the Lord in vain. And so he would say, okay, from right now it sounds like a bad habit. So I knew that I had to work on it. We're always working to be virtuous, okay? We have to master ourselves, okay? So if you find yourself, even if somebody's talking to you in a swear or something, look down. If you feel uncomfortable saying something, just look down. People get it. People understand, or sometimes you just have to say, oh, could you not say that? Don't yell at the people, right? Always showing charity in these ways. You don't need to be horrible, and you don't need... So if somebody's doing something horrible, talking about something horrible, if they're being perverted, you can't ask them to stop, or just leave. You don't have to stay. You don't. Now, if you're at work and then everybody's doing that around you, usually people are pretty cool, believe it or not. Usually, if you ask kindly and you let them know that you're on their side and that you really care for them, usually they're very respectful. I have never ever seen anybody say to me, yeah, well, forget about it. It's who I am. They don't talk like that. Usually it's like, oh, I'm sorry. And then sometimes they might forget, and then you might have to remind them again. It doesn't mean they're not caring. They're not caring, but they just forget, okay? And through this, you are being charitable because you're actually helping them to become better. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when you have a potluck, right? So I am big on potlucks. Now, I remember there was a point, though, that I would say to my father, is that okay? When I was first starting out, and he'd say, yes, it's good to have people bring things because you're helping them to be charitable, okay? So when it comes to swearing, even just slang words, see, the kids at the skate park, they're always making fun of me because I don't like slang words. I'm saying it's really not where you're going to find, oh, there's the ghostly woman. It's really not necessary. Oh my gosh, I got to show you this real quick. Okay, in a moment, they're all going to be standing around praying for their meal, okay? And she is the one entering the convent. Watch how her sister, who's not entering the convent, gets distracted and starts to feel maybe embarrassed a little bit. The one in the gray, when the dog starts to bark, she starts to smile. She gets distracted from prayer. I know she's feeling probably embarrassed because the camera's there. See, she's smiling now. But this one here, she did turn a little to the right, but she constantly drew herself closer to God in this moment. I thought that was beautiful. Little things like that matter. Does any of this make sense? Why am I talking to you about this? Because I can. If you're listening, all right. I think that we all have something really great to contribute to this world, to each other, and I just love these types of things. So, yeah, so I say, okay, where would you find slang words? Do I say slang words? Sometimes. But it sounds so ugly. It does, to me. It sounds ugly. We might think, well, it's better. Well, yeah, it is better than swearing. However, it still sounds ugly. It does to me. And so if you were to put slang words anywhere, would you think that Our Lady would say it? No. Why? Where would it be? Would it be at the gates of heaven or the gates of hell? If you had to put them somewhere, it wouldn't be at heaven. So is it a sin? Probably not. But it sounds like it's on its way. It could become, and it just draws your mind there anyway, kind of like this. Watch this. So one of my relatives, oh, there's the ghostly woman. One of my relatives teaches in a school. Of course, everybody's a teacher in my family. So they made a movie with the kids in the class. So they kept putting into their movie, you know how you have the beep for when you hear swearing? So throughout the whole movie that they made, ghostly woman, all you hear is beep, beep. Now they're all thinking that's good because they cut it out, right? And it is, because who wants to hear swearing? However, my father, he's such a genius. He said to the person, this, you got to take that out. You can't have it. And the person was like, why? And they thought that this was good. And my father said, because it's making you think about, it's drawing you to think about these types of words. So I just thought that was genius. So now when I hear shows that are always doing that, you know, you'll be watching a show, or maybe my kids are upstairs listening to, you know, watching YouTube. And if I hear that too often, occasionally, okay, fine. But usually shows today, they're constantly beep. They'll talk, beep. And I'm like, oh, forget it. So I just say, shut it off. Because it's making me think about such things. And I don't want to. I don't want to. And you know what? I don't have to. So, you know, we don't have to. Mostly women. All right. If I think of anything else to say, I will. I'll call you back.